Hey everyone, welcome back to our coverage of the STIHL Timbersports US National Men's Championship. Today, we'll be checking out Pool B, semifinal number 2 action. Today's competition will determine which 6 athletes will be moving on to the final, joining the 6 athletes who made it through Pool A semifinal from the other day. So, in this one, we also have a couple of veteran athletes. We'll be looking to Cassidy Scheer, who is the 2019 US National Champion and a silver medalist from that same year on the international individual competition. So he has got the pedigree. He's such a positive and uplifting guy, and he always comes into the competition with a ton of confidence. Other guys we'll see here, Matt Slingerland, very, very strong, as well as Mike Forrester, who has one of the most appropriate last names for STIHL Timbersports. Awesome. They'll be looking to do well in this competition. We'll also be looking for some former rookie competitors to jump in here and make a mark. Adam Lethko and Matthew Bolton will be in the mix, and I'm sure it's going to be a big moment for a couple of guys who are joining their first national championship in the men's division, Ben Nicely and Derek Knutson. They'll also be looking to make their mark and step up onto the podium, but that is going to be a tough job knowing that they've got the competition in that mix that's there today. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Our U.S. colleagues Tommy Sanders and Kevin Holtz will be taking care of the hosting of the show from Little Rock, Arkansas, so let's head over to them right now.
Hello and welcome, and we are ready to go with it. The final qualifying round on the road to the U.S. Championship. STIHL Timbersports 2021. Welcome to North Little Rock, Arkansas. Tommy Sanders here with Kevin Holtz. And of course, we've already finished Pool A. That was half the field, taking him from 10 down to 6, including the winningest athlete of the last decade, Matt Koger. Who are we looking for in Pool B?
Yeah, Matt Koger with 6 STIHL Timbersports championships. I'm looking at Cassidy Scheer with 1 championship under our belt, the most recent, 2019. He's looking to add to that list. Some of the folks, though, that want to stop that, Matt Slingerland. He's been so close so many times. I put him in the same category with Jason Lentz from Pool A, where he's just been right there and hasn't quite gotten that championship crown yet. A really tough pool of action. Pool B, semifinal action.
All right, be among the top 6 at the end of the day. That's the one and only job, so let's get it started.
Don't blink in the underhand chop. This is one of the fastest events in timber sport. The elite athletes will be hitting the log in less than 1 second per hit. They will chop the front half of the log using their $700 axe. After they cut the front half of the log, the transition to the back is seamless. In less than 1 second, the axe is into the back side of the log. A 2 and 2 pattern, removing the chips. Then when you get close to the center, you have to be confident. Using precision, accuracy, power, you will drive the log off. Seems dangerous, right? It's actually one of the safest events. And yes, they are wearing a chainmail sock protection underneath their shoes. First event of Pool B, the underhand. First heat on stand number 1, Matthew Bolton.
Job
and
1.
His opponent from the West Coast on stand number 2, Mike Forrester.
Job 1 for our 10 competitors in Pool B. Through the first 3 disciplines, do not fall lower than 8th place because 9 and 10 will be eliminated after the first 3 disciplines. We started off with the underhand and 2 veterans. Matthew Bolton on stand 1. Canandaigua, New York, and Mike Forrester, the 3rd-generation competitor from Oregon.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good heads-up competition between one of our most veteran competitors, Mike Forrester, and Mike Bolton over on stand number 1. Mike Forrester has missed the finals, but he is back in action. I've been talking to him a couple of times this weekend. He's excited to be back. He's determined, and he is destroying this underhand block. Matt Bolton's off to a good start. He's got to get some of that bottom wood cleaned out. Forrester's looking to drive. I don't think he's ready. He's not. There it is. Bolton is going to pass him. Mike Forrester just a little premature at trying to drive that block off. Let's watch Matt Bolton work through the last of this block. He's got a lot of wood left on the top, but a good cuttable surface there. One in the top, one in the guts. This is where he cleans out the bottom. Didn't quite reach for it. Still not quite reaching for it. He's got to get that axe lower. One more in the guts. There it is, finally down at the bottom, finds those last couple of fibers.
Matt, it seems in timber sports it's so important to relive the event as soon as the event is completed. You've been talking out loud since you came off the stage. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so I opened up pretty good, I thought. The axe was moving well. I took an extra chip side on my front and 3 drivers because I wanted to make sure I was there and then some. The back side seemed a little firmer. I don't think I had enough slope on my drive side. I opened kind of flat when I turned. And I probably should have taken another chip on the top to kind of clear that out, because when I started driving it didn't want to go, and I was kind of committed to get that to break the top and then break off the middle and bottom.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks.
On stand 1, Derek Knutson. And to your right, on stand 2, give it up for Josh Wilson.
Heat number 2 of the underhand chop coming up for you right now. Derek Knutson, well known for his log rolling and his climbing, but he's a great all-arounder as well. At 35, he is out here at STIHL Timbersports, trying to compete for this national championship up against West Virginia University's Josh Wilson, now 29.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Well, speaking of Derek Knutson and his log rolling and his water sports, word around the paddock is he had a bit of a bad run in a boom run not too long ago, banged up his knee pretty good. This discipline, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. Everything stays in line, but when he starts putting some lateral pressure on it in the standing block and the single block, it could play up on him. He's open a little small on the back side of this block. Josh Wilson's not having it. He is through on this timber. And this is where Knutson, there he goes. He found that last fight. Oh, there you see this, stepping off that block. A little bit tender for Derek Knutson. Let's go back and take a look at this run from Josh Wilson. A great underhand cutter. Look at the opening blow in that, right in the guts, then up to the top on that corner. It's great when you can lift a chip on that opening blow, because that opens up that top corner. It gives you that point of wood to strike for. That block is a great block. That axe is loving it. It's a great matchup. He's running it well. Punches it. Oh, I thought he was going to go to the guts on that one, but he went towards the bottom just enough to get it done.
I have Josh Wilson unofficially in the lead right now, around 21 seconds. I counted a perfect 10 in the front, 10 in the back, and you said, hey, Dave, I don't count. I'm just chopping up there.
Yeah, I never try and count. That's too many things to do. All I focus on is cutting the wood where it is, and it's worked for me. That log was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, so I was very pleased with it, and actually got a little bit excited in the back, got to get away from me. It wasn't pretty, but it worked, and it cut well, so I'm happy with it.
All right, great job. Stock saw coming up. We'll let you go.
Thanks.
So Josh Wilson, with that effort, takes over the top spot with 21-31. Derek Knutson, a little more trouble, 26-96. He's in third.
Josh Wilson just laid down a 21-3-1. Two competitors looking at best that time. On stand number 1, Adam Lethgo. And his opponent to his right on stand number 2, Matty Slingerland.
Heat number 3, Adam Lethgo versus Matt Slingerland. Adam Lethgo, the Tennessee Vol, whose specialty is the springboard. He'll have to take extra special care not to fall below 8th place during these first 3 disciplines, because springboard doesn't occur till after that. And of course, going up against Matt Slingerland, who came so close to winning it all in the national championship in 2018.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, both guys with a hung hit right out of the gate. That means that chip didn't lift, but they probably got the axe in there pretty far. Just went all the way up so that both corners were in. Matty Slingerland is around already. The back of this block is just falling apart. He's looking to drive top. He puts one more in the top, goes to the middle, bottom. There it is for Matty Slingerland. Lethgo's a bit pinched in on this. There he goes, finds that last fiber at the top. He did not have a lot of fresh air to drive into and got really bound up there at the end. Going back and taking a look here at the back end of Matt Slingerland's block. Great slope, great stick of wood, cut exceptionally well. Didn't quite, he's going a little bit ambitious there. Had to go back and double drive that top before he knew, but he was smart. He made sure that top was cut. You go after that bottom until before that top is severed, and you're going to hang the axe every time.
Matty, there's a lot going on. You say you weren't ready. You got a lot of fans. There were some fans in the crowd yelling, "Come on, Matty, move," after you stuck that first hit. Tell us about that cut.
Yeah, I've been working on getting that driver a little lower in the front. It does stick every now and then, so maybe I'll bring that up tomorrow if I got the chance and speed up a little bit. I mean, the axe was cutting. Could have got it an 8 and 8. Didn't trust myself enough, and I'll pick up on it tomorrow.
Well, there they go. They say a sure cut is a winning cut. Right now, he's unofficially in the lead. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
The new time to beat by Matty Slingerland, 18.78. So let's bring him out on stand number 1, Ben Nicely. And his opponent on stand number 2, Calvin Willard.
Underhand heat number 4. Ben Nicely from the Carolinas, the 2015 Steel Collegiate Champion. The veteran Calvin Willard from Vermont made the finals last time we contested this thing back in 2019.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, Ben Nicely right on that go. I think he was all right, but he was pretty tight on that. Both these guys putting in really solid cuts, bringing pace nicely with a bit of a hang up there. That puts him just a little bit behind, but then at the same time, Willard has a little bit of hesitation in his turn, and Nicely's able to capitalize. Look at the swing speed from Ben Nicely. Got to find that last fiber. There he goes back and gets it. Go back and take a look at Ben here as he makes that turn. A little bit rushed. He didn't really land that first hit well. His feet weren't quite in the right position, but he makes up for it and gains time here. Watch him attack the corners of this block as he starts to work his way into the bottom. Loses his way a little bit here in the middle, but eventually gathers it back up. One in the top, down to the bottom, didn't quite reach it enough. Goes back and makes one last swipe at it. Great to see our college athletes transitioning to the professional ranks. A true testament to the collegiate ranks of the Steel Timber Sports program.
We got Ben Nicely, probably the largest wingspan out there today. You missed the semifinal round in 2019. You were here 2018. Good to see you back. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Nerves are still there a little bit, but first event's over, so hopefully it gets better from here.
Talk about that chop.
Oh, the chop went well. I got a little lost in the front side of the block. Probably put one more hit than I should have in the front. And then the back came off pretty good. I was expecting a little bit faster, but I'm okay with it.
All right, thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.
Final heat of the underhand on stand number 1, your returning overall champion, Cassidy Scheer. And on stand number 2, coming in at 290 pounds, Mark Boquin.
Our first chance to watch Cassidy Scheer defend his championship from 2019. Also went on to go second in World's Championship in that year, going up against a man who reached the finals last year, Mark Boquin.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Cassidy Scheer, typically associated with the climbing the log, rolling the boom, running side of lumberjack sports, has shattered that stereotype over the past couple of years, obviously winning the championship and all the other successes he's had. He has run amok in this sport and shown that he is a championship caliber axeman. Mark Boquin, I think, turned a little prematurely. There it is. Cassidy Scheer with the patience in the front of that log to get it done in the back. Let's go back and take a look at this run by Cassidy Scheer, working his way into the front side of this block. Nice pile of big chips. Works his way into the back here, gets dangerously close to that foothold. That could be a penalty if he actually cuts into that. Not the best looking block in the world, but he's taking it apart well. Look at the axe placement. All the way at the top, all the way at the bottom, then he goes back into a 3-hit run now that he's in the middle of the wood. Top, goes to the bottom, doesn't quite get it, has to go dip into the well again. One more shot and he's got it. Going back and looking at Mark Boquin here as he works his way through this underhand chop, there was a questionable situation at the end. Our head judge had to review it, so we're going back and review it ourselves. Right here towards the end of his chop, this block is going to sever. Here comes the end of it off. There you see it. Okay, so see all that timber that's just kind of sticking out through from the end of that block. Now the question is going to be, is that cuttable material, or would that be considered just like a slab, like basically a giant pig's ear sticking out of the back of it?
Great cut, Cassidy. Let's talk about what you did prior to the gunfire there. Looks like you were just getting yourself in the zone.
Yeah, I mean, everybody talks about how much physical training you do, having the right gear. This sport requires so much accuracy and precision and a calm mind. Mental training is a huge part of it. When I put my arms up like that, that's a power position. I'm also visualizing underhands I've cut well in the past, trying to put myself in that moment, feel those feelings of success and confidence. So that's something that you'll see me do just about before every single event, and it works.
Well, there you go, Cassidy Scheer, our returning champion, and there's a reason for that. Guys in the zone, in my mind, congratulations.
Thanks.
Now the ruling on the field is it is a disqualification. That means they saw that as cuttable material. He should have severed that last fiber of wood or fibers of wood. Disqualification for Mark Boquin. We've been looking for a lot of big progress out of Mark. This is not how he wanted to start his day.
Rich, I've been in timber sports for 25 years, and there's always something new that challenges your judging ability. Tell us what just happened with Mark Boquin. I've got his block right here.
Yeah, so when I'm looking at these blocks after they finish cutting, I'm always looking to see if they're severed and if there's any uncut wood. And we define uncut wood as wood that's still attached to the block and runs all the way to the end of the block. And in this case, we see it's uncut wood. It's on the bottom of the block, and we just don't see that very often, do we? Usually it's a slab that comes out of the side, and we have slab nails to prevent that from happening. In this case, there's uncut wood, and I went back to the video to see if he could have cut it safely, and I ruled that yes, he could have stood up on the block and finished it safely and severed the wood, and so it's a disqualification.
Okay, my arm's getting tired. I'm going to let you get back to your job. Thanks for your time, Rich.
Thank you.
So not a cut foothold.
So a DQ for Mark Boquin, but a good shot for Cassidy Scheer. Our defending champ winds up in second place. Matt Slingerland with top points. Overall STIHL points with his win in the underhand. Let's keep it going with the next discipline with our Duluth Trading Company Discipline Review.
The STIHL stock saw, two competitors going head-to-head with identically tuned MS661 chainsaws. After a 15-second warm-up, all 8 fingers must be crossing that line. On go, with speed, they retrieve the saw. With precision, they enter the saw into the wood, listening to the RPMs, feeling the saw cutting through the wood, severing that first clean disc. Then, the perfect transition, and again, with precision, entering the log for the upcut. Hopefully seeing 2 complete discs on the ground, and of course this 4-inch line remaining for a leading cut. First heat of the stock saw, stand number 1, Cassidy Scheer. And on stand number 2, give it up for Josh Wilson.
Well, if your chopping day didn't get off to a good start here, here's a chance to catch up. The stock saw competition, although our first two competitors in heat number 1 had good starts in the underhand. Second place, Cassidy Scheer. Owning third place points is Josh Wilson.
Warm up your saws. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Almost a chain break grab, I think, down on stand number 2, but he slipped his hand right past it. Cassidy Scheer just smooth, systematic. Josh Wilson, wow. I was going to say, Josh Wilson's reeling him in. Great run from both these guys. They're breaking down, and they're in that 10-second range. Yeah, just a little bit of a missed grab down there. Didn't actually get the chain break, but didn't quite get his hand where he wanted to have it. Josh Wilson, though, gets to the wood, running a good, quick run. Cassidy Scheer just so smooth at the switch, and both these guys are getting maximum power out of those saws. There is a sweet spot with these motors on that torque horsepower curve, and those guys were right in there.
Cassidy, I remember the first year you were in this series, you just lit it up in the stock saw, almost just to prove a point that you deserve to be here. You don't seem to have missed a beat.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that was my one and only stock saw win in a pool ever, and I've actually taken your title as captain 6th place since then. But yeah, that was a smooth cut. Anytime I can get, through the stock saw, feeling like I didn't, bog it down, I didn't cut out, I'm pretty happy. We'll see how that holds up. We've got some really good stock sawyers, but I am happy with that cut.
All right, 3 heats to go. Sit back and watch.
Sounds good.
Cassidy Scheer takes over first place after a single heat with a 10.69. Also sub-11 is Josh Wilson.
Heat number 2 in the stock saw. Stand number 1, Calvin Willard. And on stand number 2, Ben Nicely.
The two competitors were also matched up in discipline number 1, the underhand, Calvin Willard and Ben Nicely. Ben Nicely edged him on points there, 4th versus 5th as it stands right now. Well-matched pair.
Warm up your saws.
Well-matched pair, Tommy, but in the stock saw event, I usually lean towards the elder of the two competitors.
Seems to always work out that way.
Just for that mental maturity, just for that approach.
2, 1, go!
Watch Calvin make a liar out of me here. Oh, Calvin's good, quick to the block, good body position. Nicely, though, also looking really clean. Calvin's just getting a little bit more out of that saw. Very nice finish from Ben Nicely through the top of that log, ripping that last upper round section. The timber gets very small very quick, and you'll see these guys try to rip the saw through that last bit. Calvin just a little ding on the side of the block on his way up through, but he is clean down through. Nice smooth transition. No wasted motion. This discipline, you can throw a blanket over every finisher. They're all within, unless there's a DQ or a cutout or whatever, they're all within fractions of a second of each other, and that's where you make up those fractions of a second.
Calvin, let's be real. Back in college, you were nicknamed Hurricane Calvin because of all the damage you seemed to do when you got yourself in trouble. But I tell you what, you're such a good wood chopper, but it's all finesse in the stock saw.
Yeah, it sure is. Smooth as fast in stock saw.
But you seem to think that was not your best cut. Is it an ear, hand, eye coordination?
Yeah, a lot of hand-eye coordination, and I had a couple little bobbles both in the switch and the start, which cost me a little bit of time. But in the wood, I felt like I cut well.
All right, we're still waiting on your time, so be patient. Good luck in the rest of the day.
Thanks.
there's Calvin's official time of 10.646. Puts him in first place, a shade ahead of Cassidy Scheer. Hundredths of a second there separating those two. Josh Wilson close behind. Been nicely a little bit farther back, over 11 seconds.
Heat 3 of the stock saw stand number 1, Adam Lefko. And his opponent on stand number 2, Derek Knutson.
Heat number 3 of the stock saw, Adam Lefko, who managed 6th place in the underhand chop versus Derek Knutson. Derek, a little bit of a, looks like a leg complaint, a knee injury that has been reported. He's good to go, though. He's game. He's in for it.
Well, here's a discipline that, as far as physical demands on your body, here's your chance to run with it. You calm your mind, get focused, post a good cut.
Warm up your saws.
If you're not going to be at your physical best during some of the more demanding events, like I'm very much worried about his single buck, standing block, springboard. If he advances and makes it that far, here's your chance. Grab all the points you can.
Athletes ready.
At the same time, though,
Stand
too much
to
pressure
your
in this
timber.
discipline, and you're
3,
cutting out, you're bogging
2,
the saw.
1, go!
Oh, he's quick to the block. Both these guys are up and in and running. Knutson, a little bit of a thin cut. Look at Lefko, though, just motoring through the... Oh, man, Knutson is really tight on that line. He went from a thin cut to a really thick cut. That might have been a little too much pressure for the stock saw.
Got the official Rich Hallett taking a look at that. Immediately goes to that line, that marker line, Cray and Mark.
Well, the yellow flag stays in his pocket, so that's good news for Derek. Let's watch Adam Lefko. A really solid power saw operator. Nice, clean, straight, consistent runs. Running really close to that line. Takes a little peek over the top there to make sure it's good.
I got Adam Lefko. Adam, you just smoked it off. You're joking as if you should have cut faster. You're going to take the unofficial lead around 10 seconds, perhaps sub 10.
Well, that'd be pretty awesome. I've never cut sub 10 before, so that'd be pretty awesome, but the wood's really soft, and I did like slightly bog the saw out twice during the cut and cut way too fat of cookies. Usually if you cut about a 3/4 of an inch cookie, it's going to be a little bit faster cut for some reason every single time. So there was definitely room to improve, and I don't know, we'll see how Matty does right here. He always seems to beat me by exactly 2/10. Yeah, real close. So.
Well, there you go. Adam Lefko says he could have gone faster. We're going to wait and see.
Yeah, sub 10 seconds for Adam Lefko, a 9.991. Derek Knutson, second place now with a 10.567. I'd like to know the actual physics of his claim that the thinner segment means a faster cut.
So I'll give you the physics and the speculation and the talk around the paddock has always been the loose translation is thin to win.
Okay.
And the idea is that a thinner disc will bend or flex away from the chain and put less pressure on the rivets and side plates of the chain, whereas a thicker disc is going to hold its shape, it's going to hold its rigidity, and not necessarily, it may squeeze in depending on if there's pressure in the tree and pressure in the grain of the wood, but it has enough rigidity that it's going to hold pressure against the side plate and rivets of the chain, and therefore adding more friction to the whole system.
Yeah, that blistering time of 9.99 is looking to get beat on stand number 1, Mark Boquin. And his opponent, stand number 2, Matty Slingerland.
Here's what you don't want to do, Tommy. You don't want to think about that 9.999 and go, man, the wood's good. The saw's running well. Conditions are right. I got to go. I got to be sub 10. No, you got to run your race. You got to make your cut. You can't chase Adam's time. If you beat Adam's time, it's got to be on your own accord. It can't be because you're trying to beat Adam's time.
Two guys trying to beat Adam's time right here. Of course, that would be Matt Slingerland and Mark Boquin. Yeah, as they say in golf, don't press. Don't press.
Warm up your saws.
Matt Slingerland, first place after our first discipline today, the underhand. And, Mark Boquin, good spot of trouble at the end of his chop there, and he got a DQ.
Yeah, so along the same lines,
Athletes ready.
don't try to reaccumulate all the points you lost from the DQ in the last discipline in this discipline. Oh,
well,
yeah, Mark is quick to the block. Both of these saws sound like they're at the bottom end of that sweet spot. Oh, and there it is.
Oh, man.
That's exactly it. Now look at Matty Slingerland showing a 9.93 on the unofficial clock. Typically, that's run a little slow. I think we've got a new winner, a new leader. There we see Mark, again, thin to win, nice thin disc. Gives himself tons of real estate for that next cut. And watch here, he's going to get in that last eighth of the disc. And there you see it. You can see his arms come up. You can see him just trying to rip that off. Just a little too much, a little too soon. He knows it.
Matty, what a blistering cut. There's so many steps in the stock saw. Step one, get the saw to the wood. I think you're the fastest in the business.
Yeah, I'd like to think I am too, Dave. I do a lot of practice with that. I work on it all the time. I do lots of pickups at home. I've been running really good at home. I knew I just needed to go smooth and do my thing and see where it takes me. So.
Well, we're all waiting patiently right now for what could be a new national record. We got you coming in at a 9.9.
9.97. I like it. I like it.
Big points. We'll see you in the next event, standing block.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
And that performance is our John Deere power play. Nothing runs like a deer.
And then here's the thing these guys are doing. They're burying the nose back in on that upcut, and he smoothly lifts that saw up through the top. Yeah, take a bow, Matty Slingerland. You'd hear that saw just pull down that last little bit.
Two things to note as you look at the top of the leaderboard, that 9.991 by Adam Lethko. He actually, with that cut, set a new stock saw record. One heat later, it was Matt Slingerland putting down a 9.96, maybe one of the shortest lived stock saw record enjoyed by anyone. Adam Lethko there, but I'm sure he will take it. Two great efforts. Fast company in the stock saw.
Final heat of the stock saw, stand number one, Matthew Bolton. And his opponent, the big guy from the West Coast, Mike Forrester.
Couple of guys, if they want first place, all you got to do is pretty simple. Set a new record.
Yep. Check.
In the stock saw. And your theory about experience, seasoning through the years, will that come to pass here?
Yeah, there's some seasoning on stand two, that's for sure.
Mike Forrester on stand two. Stand one, Matthew Bolton. Forrester in ninth place
Warm
as
up
we
your
get into the
saws.
second discipline.
And both of these guys are really good operators. I don't know. That's a pretty stout target to shoot for.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Wow, Mike Forrester. Blistering pace to the wood. Mike Bolton, though. Mike Forrester blistering pace to the wood. Matt Bolton right on his heels, and both of these guys in synchro through the top of that block. Watching the run here between Matt Bolton and Mike Forrester. Just a little bit of a difference at the switch. In the end, though, Bolton, I think, just best Forrester.
Nice run in the stock saw, Matt. Talk to me.
Yeah, I had a little bobble on the start. I noticed the saw was shaking a little bit when I was looking down when the countdown was going, so that kind of got me off a little bit. But once I got going in that first cut, saw was cutting pretty good. Adjusted the pressure a little bit on the upcut because I felt that it just bogged a little bit. But when I was watching the replay, it didn't look it with the sawdust coming out. Sometimes you can see all that sawdust just kind of stop. but it looked like it was good upcut, so we'll see how that time holds up.
All right, good luck.
All right, thanks.
Well, it was Matthew Bolton with the edge, a slight edge in that heat at 10.46 versus 10.54 over Mike Forrester. But the big story on top, though, Adam Lethko breaks the record, sets a new record, 9.991, and a heat later, it's Matt Slingerland breaking that with the 9.96. Great competition so far for Matt Slingerland. There's your Steel overall points right there. Matt Slingerland, 2 disciplines, 2 wins. Adam Lethko pulling in right behind him, and Cassidy Scheer 1 point back there. Matthew Bolton hanging with it in the top 5, rounds out with Calvin Willard, Ben Nicely, and Mark Boquin. Guys who are feeling the pressure now as we head into the 3rd discipline before we cut this field from 10 to 8. Steel Timber Sports is sponsored by STIHL, maker of a full line of gasoline and battery-powered handheld outdoor power equipment. Find yours at stihlusa.com. By the Duluth Trading Company, the official workwear of Steel Timber Sports. By Ace Hardware. Ace is the helpful place. And by John Deere. Nothing runs like a deer.
Athlete versus tree. Their goal, sever a 12-inch log. This is a standing block. The standing block mimics felling a tree with a racing axe as fast as possible. When the gun fires, you have to chop halfway through the log. In order to do that, know the log, be familiar with your equipment. The best athletes will put 10 to 12 hits in the front. The elite athlete will put 6 to 7 hits in the front. The turn is a 4-step motion with speed, minding the chips on the ground which you've removed. Run to the back side with no hesitation. Open up the back with confidence, making a split decision. Do I take another chip for safety, or do I have the confidence to drive this log off?
First heat of the standing blocks chop on stand number 1, Derek Knutson. And our second competitor, stand number 2, Ben Nicely.
Get ready to start the standing block right here. After the standing block is complete, we are going to have a cut. We will drop the bottom 2 points getters so far. In this Pool B competition, Derek Knutson, the man on the bubble, 8th place. Ben Nicely is below the cut line, currently in 9th place.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Well, this is not going to be a good discipline for Derek Knutson with a bum knee. A lot of twisting, a lot of pushing going on. Ben Nicely around to the back of his block already. Draws a slab on the opening blows, going for the corners. He's looking to drive. He's going to take one more chip, drives it off somewhere in that 19-second range. Solid cut from Derek Knutson, too. Things got a little bit flat towards the end of the first part of that block on the front face, but held it together, reeled it in. Oh, here comes Derek on that opening blow. He has to go back and reshoot it. Oh, there's another glancing blow on the down blow. I think that's a little bit of not having the right body position. I think he's favoring that knee a little bit. The other thing that can happen too is you get a death grip on that axe handle, and just even the act of squeezing down on that handle can cause it to twist or deflect in your hand. A little bit of deflection in the handle translates to a bigger deflection in the head. A little bit of the action from Ben Nicely. You can see he had a bit of a scooping blow there on the top. You can see it like a little bit of a waterfall cascading down there. That's not what you want to see. It means that front face pinched out quicker than it should have. And this is where it comes back to bite him, finishing off this block in the back. He slaps in one kind of flat chip shot, goes back to the drivers again because he didn't quite have enough timber shifted in the front side of that log.
nicely, winner of that first heat of the standing block. Ben, you just said, I didn't do enough in the front. How do you compensate for that in the transition to the backside of the log?
Yeah, so knowing that I didn't do quite enough in the front, I had 2 scoops. Just didn't get me quite where I wanted to be. I went around to the back, didn't change my pattern, but I did throw one near up hit on the backside just to make sure I had everything I needed.
Well, there you go, block awareness. Ben nicely in the lead. 19.35 is our time to beat on stand number 1, Matthew Bolton. And his opponent, the big guy from Canandaigua, New York, Mark Boquin.
Matthew Bolton looking reasonably comfortable there in 4th place as we head into the standing block, the 3rd discipline's first level of competition. Mark Boquin, though, needs big things to happen right here. He's in 10th.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, really tight on that go for Boquin. What I'm worried about, though, Tommy, is he needed big things to happen in the stock saw, and he went at it with a little too much gusto. I'm worried about the same thing here. He's got a lot of cuttable wood in the front side of that block. Matt Bolton did a beautiful job. He's got big up drivers in there. Bolton now looking to drive. I think a little premature. One more chip hit would have gotten him a little bit further, and that lets Mark catch up to him in the end. Matt just, again, one more chip hit, lifting out a lot of wood. He's kind of eyeballing the amount of wood that he just drove off. Let's go back here, and we're looking at the second half of Matt Bolton's block. Up drivers going in, or up hits coming in. Here come the down drivers. He got the near. You see that block twist, but there is still a good half of that face of the block there. That's his 3rd driving blow. Here it is on the 4th driving blow. It finally comes off. One up hit, and I think he could have maybe saved himself that extra couple of down hits.
Matt, I like your reaction. The chips were still landing on the stage, and you said, hey, I'm going against one of the best choppers in the country. I got to go for it.
Yeah, I opened up with a 2-2 on my front side, and it was cutting, it was moving good. So I did a 3 drive across. When I went to the backside, I was a little overzealous, and I kind of jumped, and I was like way out in front of the block, and I had to resituate myself. I opened up a 1-1, and I was there on my near. I wasn't quite there on my far, but I was committed, and like I said, I was going against one of the best choppers. So I went for it, drove like probably 7 inches of wood, but it came off when I expected it to.
All right, you got some momentum going. Keep it up.
Yeah, thanks.
The 3rd driving blow was into the stump. It wasn't even high enough. Like it's just, you see that little point right there? So that's not going into fresh air. That's going into the bottom of the block. And that's why that one didn't go. His 4th one didn't follow that track as much. It carried in and went into the fresh air.
Matthew Bolton's time the best in the heat of 21.59, but Ben nicely sub 20, 19.35, still sits atop of our standings.
Heat 3 of the standing block on stand number 1, Adam Lethgo. And his opponent chasing that 19.35, Mike Forrester.
Heat 3, Adam Lethgo versus Mike Forrester. Adam Lethgo doing very well. These first 3 disciplines, comes into this 3rd one in 2nd place. Overall, Mike Forrester needs to hold his spot there. Currently in 7th. If he can do that, he will pass on to the next stage.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Adam Lethgo, not a monster of a man, but he puts up a monster of a swing. extremely efficient in his motions, extremely efficient in his decisions on how to disassemble this block. And look at the swing speed that Lefko is bringing. He's looking to drive already. Too soon, too soon. Oh, man.
Wow.
These guys are racing. They're ready for it to be done. They're driving off fast. I don't know. I'd love to see he turn back. Hindsight's 20/20, and I could be an armchair lumberjack all day. I feel like that one extra hit up on the far side would just clear some timber out of the way. He's severed on the near side. That hit right there was probably a wasted hit. A lot like Matt Bolton's chop. Did have the job done on the near side. You can see that block twisting. It opens up that shot, but I don't know. One more up hit just to clear that chip.
Yep. Adam, absolutely a beautiful cut. You went to the back side. The axe actually bounced you right off the log, but you had a great recovery.
Yeah, it shoved too much of the toe in the wood, and generally when that happens, it'll bounce out real hard, and plus I'm trying to over-straighten my front leg a tiny bit, so I don't have the ability to kind of recover from that. But first time I pulled 8 and 8 off all year, so I'm pretty happy with that too.
That's a great cut, Adam. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask you about memorabilia you've got around your neck while you're competing, if you don't mind telling the crowd what that is.
Yeah, I wear my grandfather's dog tag. It's from World War II. He was a Seavey in the Pacific, and I like keeping him with me when I'm out and about, and then, so.
All right, thanks for your time, Adam.
Adam Lefko continuing to excel here. Second place currently with a 19.83 in that cut. Mike Forrester, fourth place, 21.89.
Heat 4 of the standing block. Stand number 1, Matt Slingerland. And this next competitor is just on fire in the standing block. Give it up for Josh Wilson.
Two events, 2 wins. 2 disciplines, 2 wins for Matt Slingerland. He is in the catbird seat here as we get into his turn at the standing block, going up against Josh Wilson, currently in 6th place.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Josh Wilson, a bit famous for his swing speed, likes to bring the pace, but when your axe hangs up like that, it really throws you off your momentum. Matty Slingerland around to the backside, a clean front face. He's got some wood hanging in there, but it looks like it's cut. It's just kind of hanging in the face. Oh, Matt is already going for the drive. There he finds it. Josh Wilson tears the top off that block as well. Watching the front side of Matt Slingerland's cut here. Punches in a driver. I don't think that went quite as far as he wanted it to. It looks like there's a lot of cuttable wood there, but if that driver did its job, we can only tell from the other side of the block. If that driver did the job, the wood is severed. Now here he goes into just a bunch of angry blows on the back of this log. Didn't quite get the near side to break yet. Went back to it again. That punch in the gut, you saw that block just shift a little bit. Told him it was go time. He went back to the bar, severed the top of that log.
All right, let's talk about the back side of that log. A nice, smooth front, but it looks like you improvised or possibly tried something new in the back.
Yeah, I'm going pretty good today and figured I'd try a little something to go a little faster. The front was beautiful 8. Thought it was way past, so I figured I could probably get it in 6 or 7. And so I tried a new pattern. A little stiffer in the back. I think I didn't set the log up right. So I had a little trouble getting it off, but not too much. So.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Matt Slingerland poised to go 3 for 3 in our first 3 disciplines right there. He shoots right to the top of the leaderboard, 19.20 with 1 heat remaining.
Okay, we have a new time to beat laid down by Matty Slingerland, a 19.20. So final heat of the standing block on stand number 1, Calvin Willard. And on stand number 2, our returning national champion 2019, Cassidy Scheer.
Calvin Willard needs to not fumble here, maintain his fifth place position. Cassidy Scheer in third. Also looking good to make it into the next level.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
I do like watching both these guys cut stand and block cuts. There's certain athletes and certain disciplines that just go well together. And Cassidy Scheer and Calvin Willard are both tearing apart these blocks. Beautiful piles of big chips. Calvin, wow. Oh, there it is. I was just about to say, Calvin's looking to go one more round. Cassidy Scheer finds that last few fibers and drives off the top of that block. Watching the front side of Cassidy's chop here. Cleans out that block beautifully. He is past middle, or past center on the near side of that log. Little bit sticky, but that block is coming apart for him. Work that he put in on the front of that just paid off in dividends on the back.
Cassidy, a lot of competitors say their best cuts are the ones they don't remember. You just said to me, did I cut 8 in the front and 6 in the back? You did cut 8 in the front, 6 in the back.
Yeah, that's one of my best standing blocks ever here on white pine. A beautiful log. Actually been struggling with the standing blocks a little bit in practice, so to whack that one off like I did there, that's a great feeling.
Yeah, and I know you love to compete in front of a crowd. Not much crowd going on here today, but still, nevertheless, the celebration we all know from Cassidy Scheer.
Yeah, that was a good cut. I was feeling it. I mean, it's very different with there not being a crowd out there. But yeah, I mean, I knew it was a good cut. I was visualizing a crowd out there so I could still get that energy.
All right, good job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. With emphasis, your defending champion, Cassidy Scheer, 15.82, and winds up on top in the standing block. All right, that is 3 disciplines down, and now we have to make a cut. Bottom 2 competitors are leading. That's Derek Knutson and Mark Oakland. On top of our total points is Matt Slingerland, 35. Cassidy Scheer in second with 29, and Adam Lefko with 27.
On go, you want to go full speed on a push or a pull stroke using the entire saw. It's a 2 to 3 peg and raker. The pegs are the teeth. They cut the wood. The rakers clean the wood. You want to use the full saw, cutting on the forward stroke, cutting on the back stroke, using every muscle in your body from your toes all the way up to your head, driving the saw with confidence through the entire log. If you deviate from your technique, you can dive a raker into the wood, bringing you to a sudden stop. Then you have to regain that momentum, losing time.
We have narrowed the field from 10 to 8. 3 events remaining. Heat 1 of the single buck. On stand 1, Josh Wilson. And his competitor all the way from the West Coast. Give it up for Mike Forrester.
Heat number 1 of the single buck, Josh Wilson on stand 1, Mike Forrester on stand number 2. Mike Forrester currently 7th in the standings, Josh Wilson 8th, so both of these competitors would love to get off to a good start. Continue to do well through these next 2 disciplines, because after the next 2 disciplines, we take this original field of 10, which is now down to 8, all the way down to 6, who will pass on to the championship round.
Competitors are given a limited amount of setup time. It does vary slightly per discipline. This single buck event takes a little extra labor to get the saws set, get your footing set. That 1 minute mark coming up right now. You'll hear a whistle.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Josh Wilson stand 1, Mike Forrester stand 2. Forrester with trouble at the top. He's in the small wood at the top. That's a lot of pressure on a small number of teeth, on a small amount of timber. Josh Wilson is not waiting around and runs away with that one. There we go, we're back into the small wood again at the bottom. It's rinse and repeat at the bottom of the block, and trouble again for Mike Forrester. Saw maybe just a little too aggressive, or Mike maybe being a little too aggressive with that saw. Looking at Josh Wilson in that cut, he got off to a great start and never looked back. Really smooth run from Wilson. He's a really solid single sawyer. Running that Tuatahi racing saw. See those gullets are nice and loaded up, full load every trip.
Josh, as a former single bucker, I know it's very fast. If you can go less than 1 stroke per second, you did 12 strokes in about 11.7, faster than your quarterfinal round.
Yeah, that definitely is. It was good wood. Saw was cutting well, so we'll see. There's some good single buckers in this heat or group, so you know, I hope it stands up for first, but I'm going to need the points. But we'll see what happens.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Heat number 2 of the single buck, stand number 1, Calvin Willard. And chasing 11.42. Big round of applause for Ben Nicely.
Time to beat 11.42 from Josh Wilson. That was from heat number 1. This is heat number 2. Calvin Willard coming into this discipline in 6th place in steel points, overall points, and Ben Nicely just ahead of him in 5th place overall.
So, Tommy, this is a perfect time for an analogy that I was about to make with Ben Nicely. I want to compare him to Lumberjack legend Mel Lentz. Conveniently enough, Lumberjack legend Mel Lentz is out working essentially as Ben Nicely's caddy, his second, helping him get set up. And the point I wanted to make is wingspan, length, reach. Both of these guys have that long reach body style, and that plays into a certain style of sawing that really sets you up to run that entire saw smoothly and efficiently.
Timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Calvin's really running that entire saw. Look at the nose of that saw disappear back into the block. Ben Nicely's got a really serious stroke speed going, but he's leaving a lot of material. He's leaving some saw out there at the far end. He could really get some more productivity out of that tool. Less time changing directions, more time cutting timber. Take a look at Calvin Willard here as he runs this saw. He could go to a little bit longer tool here. He is really drawing that saw all the way back in, using every inch of that material. These are not cheap saws, so if you're gonna buy a saw, you might as well get your money's worth. Use every inch of that saw. Suck that nose right back into the block.
Calvin, just a couple weeks before your quarterfinal round, you cut yourself in training. You healed up. You actually competed with stitches earlier, but it's that front foot, that drive foot that you injured. How's it feeling today?
Not bad. I still feel it a little bit. An axe went into my foot and broke the bone during training a couple months ago. So it's getting a lot better, and it's a little sore, but it's feeling a lot better than it did a month ago.
Well, of course, it's mandatory to wear protective apparel today. But talk about how the single buck, you have to use your full body, starting with your leg.
Sure, yeah. Single buck's on. If you try to just saw with your arms, you're going to be way behind. You know, we have a lot more power in our legs. So, yeah, we got to build that power from our feet up.
All right. Thanks, Calvin.
Thank you.
Well, Josh Wilson still on top of the standings with a 11.42. Calvin Willard, that cut of 12.41, slips into 2nd place, followed by Nicely and Forrester.
Heat 3 of the single buck on stand number 1, Matthew Bolton. And his opponent on stand number 2, Adam Lethgo.
Adam Lethgo on stand 2, Matthew Bolton on stand number 1, having a pretty decent day today. Pool B competition. Adam comes in here in third place. Actually a very good day for Adam Lethgo, and Matthew Bolton right behind him in 4th. Time to beat 11.42 Josh Wilson.
It's always something very rewarding about seeing competitors like Adam Lethgo do well. you line him up with anybody else in this field. I haven't looked at the stats, but I would say he's probably our smallest competitor in this field. And he just makes use of everything he's got. He's efficient, he is smart, he is smooth, and you just got to love that efficiency that he brings to this game, and it's paying out for him today.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
You can just tell the difference in the saw that Adam Lethgo is running versus Matt Bolton when you see him side by side, but he is running it well. There you see that Bolton hung up, just getting into the larger diameter timber. That's kind of a rare mistake for Bolton. Lethgo rips it off. Look at Adam Lethgo here. He's running a shorter saw, but he's doing it well. He's throwing a lot of chips. Somewhere in the middle of this block, you'll see it when the cookie comes off. Oh, that might have been it right there. There's some sucker. That was just filling.
Years ago, Matt Slingerland suggested that you enter the STIHL Timbersports series, and you said, I really don't think I can do that, but I tell you what, you just ran that single buck like a man twice your size.
Well, thank you, Dave. He has been helping me a lot with my single buck over the year. I kind of guess that's what I did over the year off with COVID and whatnot. I worked on my bad events, and like underhand and single buck were my main two really bad events. So really happy with that cut. Cutting in the 12 is kind of where I want to be, so I think that's good for me.
All right, well, your best event, Springboard, coming up. We'll let you get ready.
All right, thank you, Dave.
Josh Wilson still hanging in there on top of the leaderboard with 11.42. Calvin Willard right behind him. Third place now belongs to Adam Lethgo. Bolton 13.65, been nicely 13.31, and Mike Forrester rounding out our top 6 with one heat remaining.
Final heat of the single buck, still chasing that 11.42 on stand number 1, Cassidy Scheer. And the man who was undefeated in the single buck this year. We'll see if he can continue that role. Give it up for Matt Slingerland.
Halfway through our disciplines, these two came in here 1 and 2. Overall points and steel points. Matt Slingerland and Cassidy Scheer. Now they face off in the final heat of the single buck.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Matty Slingerland getting some help from his dad, Mike, as his second. Years and years ago when Matty started out, Mike told him, saw like Dave Jewett. And we are seeing it here today. Oh, a broken disc, but he does finish it off. That should not be an issue. We'll let the judges make the final determination on that. We'll have to see if they can put those pieces back together, and he should be all right. He was really going for it at the end, slammed the handle into the cut. See there, our head judge, Rich Hallett, invoking what I call the Humpty Dumpty rule, as long as all the pieces go back together. Let's go back and watch this run from Matt Slinger and his dad, Mike, there in the background. Just a spray of noodles. Every bit of that saw in production. The nose all the way in, the handle almost banging the block. Eventually, as we get down here towards the bottom, he either twists or bangs the handle there.
I think he did hit the handle.
Yeah, it just drives that disc off.
Well, Matt, you just smoked that single buck off, unofficially in the low 10s. Tell us what happened at the bottom where the disc broke.
Yeah, sometimes I go a little thick. It was undercut a little bit, the cut before, and I knew I had to go a little thicker, so I would assume that that's probably what it was. I tend to want to get aggressive and step in a little closer, so I bumped my handle. When I bump that handle, it sometimes forces that disc away, but I made sure to stay in it just to be safe.
All right, well, that was a great recovery. Congratulations.
Thanks, Dave.
There you are right on top, 10.09. What an effort by Matt Slingerland. Cassidy Scheer behind him at 11.14. Josh Wilson, they round out the top 3 Got one more discipline left to go before we have to drop 2 more of our athletes, our hopefuls here. Only 6 will make it to the finals, and we will settle that coming up in the springboard.
You know, Cassidy, we talk about the single buck driving from the legs, but we also talk about keeping the show moving. Tell us how you fasten your foot blocks out there so you could spend more time getting ready for the actual cut.
Right, yeah, so I'm a foot block sawyer. I like to drive off my legs. I'm not a big guy. I need to use those biggest muscles in my body. We have a new 1-minute setup time limit this year. Foot block setting can be kind of a long and intricate process to find the right spots, so I came up with this quick set foot blocks where I just measure it off the end of the block. They're already there. I need to make an adjustment though, like something happened on the drive down here. They're about a ½ inch off, but yeah, it's working. We'll see if they ban them at some point, but it worked for that cut.
Well, I have a feeling we're going to see you in the finals the way you springboard cut, so you have another chance to use them.
Yes, I think that would be great.
Thanks, Cass.
Thank you.
All right, one more discipline left. That is going to be the springboard chop before we lose 2 more of our hopefuls here and take the field down to 6. Right now, those 2 are Matthew Bolton and Mike Forrester, with Matt Slingerland on top, a good, healthy lead ahead of our defending champion, Cassidy Scheer. Great afternoon for Adam Lethko here. Willard, Josh Wilson, and Ben Nicely currently in that top 6. The time commitment to train for this unique sport is a large undertaking, but even with that, some athletes find time to give back to their community. Find out more about these athletes in our Ace Hardware Helpful Profile.
I'm part of the Boy Scouts. You know, I help volunteer with them every now and then. I do little walkthroughs, talk with the scouts and stuff. And I actually did a little lumberjack demonstration for a Boy Scout troop and a Cub Scout troop, and coach for the soccer team and the youth club. I mean, I love sharing the sport and trying to get other people interested, and people really enjoy it, and I love helping the community. I love helping kids, honestly. You know, the soccer is nice to, in any sport, honestly, help kids grow in a sport and learn a discipline and just, you know, work on themselves and on getting better at the sport. It's nice to see progression and people wanting to do better and wanting to play a sport.
STIHL Timbersports is sponsored by STIHL, maker of a full line of gasoline and battery-powered handheld outdoor power equipment. Find yours at stihlusa.com. By the Duluth Trading Company, the official workwear of STIHL Timbersports. By Ace Hardware. Ace is the helpful place. And by John Deere. Nothing runs like a deer.
Afraid of heights? Danger? This is not the discipline for you. The Springboard Chop, using your axe and 2 boards to ascend a 9-foot pole standing 8 feet in the air to sever a 10.5-inch block. How do you get to the block though? You have to look at this event in steps. Step 1, chop a bottom pocket. That first pocket is going to be 4 to 6 hits. You will be inserting a board into that pocket. Then you will jump on that board to chop a second pocket. That second pocket will be made in 4 to 6 hits to insert a second board. Jump up, get to the back of the board. That's where you will use every muscle in your body to chop 80 to 90% of the way through the front side of that block. Then you will turn to the back side. You have 2 choices, chopping up and down, removing the chip, or the new school style of hard downward slices. First heat of the springboard, pole number 1, Josh Wilson. And his opponent, Mike Forrester.
First heat of the Springboard Chop, and it's Josh Wilson on stand number 1. Springboard pole number 1 in 5th place as we start this penultimate or next to last discipline of the day. Mike Forrester, pressure's on Mike. He's in 8th, 7th and 8th. Will not make it to the 6 who pass on to the final, so he's got to change his outlook right now and do it here. He's got one more chance here in the Springboard.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Mike opened a bit of a small pocket there. Josh Wilson, a bit of a larger pocket. Both these guys look clean to the back. Forrester not happy with that pocket. He's going to go out and work that back in a little more. 2 more blows. Sweeps the chip out. Gives it the old finger broom. There's a little better board set for Mike Forrester. He gets up there. He's got to get to work if he wants to redeem some points. Josh Wilson up to his second board. Looks like a great board set. A little bit of listing, leaning over just slightly, but he's got his heels off the back of the board, compensating. I've been in that position more times than I care to admit. On the top board, you can't come back down and fix it at that point.
No.
You make the best of it. Josh Wilson is there on the near side. Must be close to there on the far side. There he comes around. Josh Wilson's a competitor. He turns his entire body and then slashes down for 4 hits, and Josh Wilson is off. Mike Forrester chopping to stay in this event to advance from semis to the finals. If there's any advantage to not having a crowd here, it's being able to hear that axe in the block, and that sounds like a bad axe block combination. It just sounds dead. It sounds hollow. There's not that real crisp slicing tone that you get when you get the right match up there. Josh Wilson laying in that first pocket in these tulip poplar or yellow poplar poles all the way to the back of the hole. That's a great angle on that board set. You get up and put a little girth on it and it settles down in. Here's the finish for Josh Wilson. He is just yarded way into that block. Sets himself up for some great slicing blows on the back. 4 is all it'll take. That last fiber tears away.
Josh, you just said to me, it felt like I was holding my breath the whole time. I could hear you breathing all the way across the stage. Only 4 hits in the backside of that log. Talk us through it.
Well, I'm sitting, I think 5th, so I needed to go. Got to have a good time. There's a lot of good springboard cutters in this pool, so I just went, I just drowned everything out. I just let muscle memory go through. And like I said, I didn't even think I was breathing. I was just going. So really happy with it. I think I'm like, 103, 104. So that's a really good cut for me. So I'm happy with it. It was a good log. And we'll just have to wait and see.
Yep, we'll wait and see. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Josh Wilson, not under a minute, but he says anywhere around that minute mark, and it's 64.90. He's pleased with that. Mike Forrester had some trouble on that one. Mike Forrester looking not good to make that cut at this point. We got 3 more heats yet to go in the springboard.
2 of the best springboard cutters coming up on pole number 1, Calvin Willard. And his opponent on stand number 2. Give it up for Ben Nicely.
Heat number 2 in the springboard, Calvin Willard versus Ben Nicely. And for Ben Nicely, well, the Axeman from North Carolina, he needs to hold his spot, hold on for dear life. He's in the 6th spot, and that's going to be the last spot that gets into the finals. Calvin Willard in 4th. Well, needs to avoid mistakes above all and run his race.
It's really exciting for me, Tommy, just as well as Ben Nicely has done in the springboard discipline years ago when STIHL Timbersports Collegiate Series was first getting started and they were moving college athletes into the professional ranks. This was one of the disciplines, this and the hot saw, that some people, including myself, raised our hand and said, whoa, what about? You know, this isn't college anymore, kids. We're moving into some pretty technical disciplines. So to see the college athletes really embrace it and run with it is awesome.
Yeah, it's admirable.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Ben with 4 hits in that hole. He's got a little bit of debris in there. He gives it the old finger sweep, gets that cleared out. Calvin Willard some trouble, though. He can't let that compromise the rest of this climb. Get up on that first board. Forget about that pocket. Let's get this train moving. Ben nicely with a little double set on that second board. It's in there. He doesn't seem really thrilled with it, but now he's up there. He's got to do the job. Keep the slope, keep the axe speed going. Calvin Willard is reeling him in, though. Any of those issues from that first board set are in his past. Ben nicely with a big chip hanging in front of that face. He sends it flying over towards head judge Rich Hallett. Cascades of chips coming out on stand number 2 for Ben nicely. He's around to the back. He's going to start slashing. See him kind of wrenching a chip out of there, looking for that far fiber, and there it is. Ben nicely coming in around that 103 mark. Calvin Willard not far behind. That's going to put Ben right in there in that Josh Wilson sort of time bracket. Look at the work that Ben nicely puts into the front side of this block. He is weighted deep into that timber, sets him up with a small finish. Should only take about 3 or 4 hits. You're in this awkward backhanded slashing position. You don't want to spend a lot of time chopping like that. You want to go as far as you can in the front without risking it breaking off while you're on the front. Ben gets it done about as cleanly as you can.
Got Ben nicely. Ben unofficially around 1:03, a great start. Seemed like you had a little problem getting your top board here in the pocket. What happened?
Well, the tree was super soft, had a 4-hit hole, which was great. But on my 4th hit, the board was sitting out a little bit further than I wanted to. The board would have sit out a little bit further than I wanted to. So I had to make sure it was sitting just right so it wouldn't slide on me.
All right. Well, it was a great recovery. Good job.
Appreciate it.
Well, Ben nicely doing himself some good here for sure, taking over the top spot after 2 heats with a 63.37, minute 3.37, just ahead of Josh Wilson. Now Ben can do no worse than 5th place in this competition. Of course, you just got to be in the top 6 to pass on to the finals. He's not there yet, but he's made a step in the positive direction.
3rd heat of the springboard on pole number 1, Matthew Bolton. And quite possibly one of the fastest springboard cutters in the United States. Big round of applause for Adam Lethko.
Heat number 3 getting set to go. Matthew Bolton in a bit of a spot here. He's in 7th place coming into this 5th discipline here. We drop positions 9 and 10. Excuse me. 8 and 7. We drop positions 8 and 7 after this one, so Matthew's got to get after it here. Adam Lethko, very good afternoon, currently in 3rd place, and we are coming right into his specialty here, springboard chop.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
This ought to be an excellent race. I got to be honest, though. I'm giving a lot of attention to stand number 2. I love watching Adam Lethko board. He is so quick up the tree and such an efficient chopper. Matt Bolton, though, is giving him a run for his money. Matt is staying right with him here. Lethko a bit quick on that second board set. I don't think I like that one so much.
Boy, it's starting to fade a little bit there.
Yeah, he's sticking with it, though. It's listing away from the front edge of the stage, and it's sagging off the back. He says that means he's got to chop faster. This is something, when you're not a 300-pound competitor, you can get away with some of the stuff like this.
Yeah.
He's also a switch-handed chopper. He doesn't just switch sides and slash the block. He actually chops off-handed. That is not going to go down as one of his best chops, but still under 50 seconds for Adam Lethko. Take a look at this run from Lethko. He comes down, grabs that second board, sets it. It looks good. As soon as he applies pressure, you can see It just starts settling in. As soon as he gets back towards the back edge of that board, saw him scooch his back foot in a little bit. It's doing its job. It held him. He got the job done. That was not a comfortable work position, though, for Adam Lethko. We're watching the last blows here from Adam Lethko, and you can see the impact of that sagging board set. He's chopping up at shoulder level, up around his chin even, and that's just a horrible position. He's out of his power zone, and that's just the outcome of having a bad board set.
Adam, one of the best springboard cutters in the country, Nathan Waterfield, is a head judge today. You had a chat with him when you came down off that block. What were you talking about?
We're talking about how I only did about 75% of that correct. Left a whole lot of room on the table there. I don't know, I thought I had a really good chop going that would have been probably low 40s, right around 40, until my board started giving out behind me. I had to scoot up a little bit and lost a lot of power. And one thing I lost in that year off or whatever, I've lost a little bit of my offhand. Been having trouble getting the blocks off on top, so something to work on, get back in touch with, and I'm just blessed to be here and happy for how I'm doing.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Well, Adam Lethko, admittedly not his best, but he will take that spot he's put himself in. First place with only one heat remaining in the springboard. Adam Lethko has punched his ticket to the final.
Final heat of the Springboard 2019. This man cut the springboard in 37 seconds. Give it up for Cassidy Scheer. And on stand number 2, his opponent, who has won 3 out of 4 events today. Big round of applause for Matty Slingerland.
Here we go with 1 and 2 as it stands, with one more heat and one more discipline left to go. 3 disciplines belong to Matt Slingerland already. Cassidy Scheer in second place. Both of these guys pretty much have put in the work to put themselves in the finals. They will be a big factor in the final championship round.
Cassidy Scheer with a really solid standing block cut earlier today. I don't know, in my mind, that just bodes well for a good springboard cut.
Well, yeah,
just take that same mentality and
just put it on the elevator.
Yeah, elevate it up 8 or 9 feet off the ground and do it again.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Cassidy Scheer really tight on that go. I think he's all right, though. Matt Slinger, a really clean-looking first board hold. Look at that thing. You could park a Buick on that. Cassidy also looking solid. He's got a little bit of sag going down, but that's all right. You don't need to spend a lot of time on that first board. Just get your 4 or 5, 6 hits in. He's spending a little bit of time farming that second pocket out. Matt Slingerland is not waiting around. Matt has a beautiful second board set and is laying waste. There's chips just cascading out of that block at the top. Cassidy now, though, he is also up there. He's got the tough job done. He has climbed to the top, and he is also laying waste to the block at the top. Matty around to the back, a switch-handed chopper. Should just be 1 or 2 more blows on that far side. Doesn't seem to be keeping his pace, so there it is for Matt Slingerland. Cassidy Scheer with that sense of urgency. 1 more ought to do it for Scheer. Solid times for both these guys. Advantage Slingerland in the climb. I think Scheer had a better cut through the block at the top. See Matt touching the side of that axe and just doesn't seem pleased with how it was working its way through the block. Watch as he opens up the backside, 1 and 1. That chip just doesn't quite shift in its entirety. Goes to a 2 and 2 pattern. Looking to drive, but the near side of that wood never severed. You see the far just shifted. 1 punch in the gut sent it down.
Matt, we spoke the other day about you changing your pattern in the block up top. You were going to shoot for 12 and 6, but sometimes the log has another plan. Had to go 9 in the backside.
Yeah, well, when that gets on TV, everybody will be making fun of me for the front of that. So I got the 12 in the front. Could have put more in the front. I closed off my wood. I don't know. Honestly, it sounds stupid, but the board was a little too high, a little too good. And so my line wasn't where I wanted to be. I couldn't hit the hits where I wanted them. Just missing all my up hits, and that cost me the race. So.
Well, prior to that, you've won 3 out of 4 events today. Sounds like you're having a decent day. We'll let you get ready for the hot saw.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Dan.
Matt Slingerland getting pretty close to making it 4 out of 5 disciplines won so far in this Pool B competition. Just a shade behind Adam Lethko, Cassidy Scheer in 3rd place. Of course, there they are, Lethko, Slingerland, Scheer, Bolton, Nicely, and Wilson, the 6 who have gained the championship. Matt Slingerland coming within a whisker of winning 4 out of 5 disciplines here, leading the way. STIHL overall points, 65 versus Cassidy Scheer in 2nd place with 55, and Adam Lethko rounding out the top 3 positions. And there you see it, Slingerland, Scheer, Lethko, Bolton, Wilson, and Nicely, the 6 who are headed to the final.
This is the hot saw. Once the competitors bring their saws up on stage, they have an 18-inch log in front of them. Now they are allowed a 60-second warm-up. Why? These saws are 250 to 350 cc engine. Since this is the final event, the competitors can no longer hold back. Hands on top of the wood. They wait for the go. On go, they must start the saw, pick it up, full throttle into the wood in around 1 second, severing that 18-inch log with a 200-mile-an-hour chain speed. A seamless transition into the upcut. Once again, feeling that 60-horsepower engine, then going into the 3rd cut, hopefully dropping 3 clean discs in around 6 seconds, getting major points.
Give it up for Ben Nicely.
And on stand number 2, he's been on fire, Josh Wilson.
Well, our 6 contestants who are going to pass on to the finals from Pool B are set. They've done their work, but hey, we're going to let them run the hot saws, run these giant, unlimited chainsaws so we can see the spectacles. 3 heats of the hot saw on the way, starting out on stand 1, Ben Nicely going up against Josh Wilson.
Well, Tommy, I mentioned this earlier, but this is one of those disciplines that years ago I had concerns that our college competitors were not going to transfer well to. Here we go. We've got 2 of our college competitors in the finals running hot saws.
Thirty seconds. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Josh Wilson, very fast to the log. Can he keep it together? It looks like he does. Some pretty thin cuts on stand number 1 for Ben Nicely. We got to see how that shakes out. Josh Wilson was exceptionally fast to the block. Watch this run from Josh again. Tons of upper body strength. Just yards that saw up to the block. A little bit heavy on that first cut. And on the second cut, looks like he's going to be all right. Does look like he got them all in there. What a great run for Josh Wilson.
Could be sub 6 seconds. We'll have to see when we get the official time in.
You see a little head nod at the end as he's walking around. Here's a look at the run from Ben Nicely on stand number 1, thin to win. That first disc was a really thin cut. He almost gets pushed back out of the block. As you're coming up through the cut, the top of the chain is traveling away from you and shoves the saw back at you. I've seen some guys leave skid marks on the stage just getting shoved back from that block just from the force of the saw.
Josh, you took almost a full second off your time from the quarterfinal round. Tell us about that cut today.
So the quarterfinal rounds, we didn't really know where we were going to sit, so I wanted to make a good clean cut to make sure I made it through. Today, I've got freedom. I made it to the finals first time, so it's kind of like a victory lap. I just went for it and made a good cut, and I'm happy with it. So.
Congratulations on the hot saw. Congratulations going to the final.
Thank you.
There's your official times right there. Josh Wilson with a 6.01. Getting close to that sub-6 point right there. Ben Nicely a bit behind with a 7.63.
Heat number 2 of the hot saw, chasing a blistering 6.02 seconds on stand number 1, Matthew Bolton. And on stand number 2, you just saw him win the springboards. Give it up one more time for Adam Lethko.
Matthew Bolton on stand number 1. Adam Lethko, stand number 2. These guys headed to the finals. Get a feel for the hot saw, how he's going to run here in this particular place at this particular point in time.
Warm up your saws.
Still makes my heart patter a little bit. Stand number 1, Matt Bolton running my old saw, my Rotax.
Yeah.
AKA Fluffy.
Sure.
Thank you, Julie Miller. That name's stuck.
It's intimidating. I'll say that for the name.
It's
30
something.
seconds.
.02 by Josh Wilson.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Little hesitation off the top on stand number 1, but he got it going eventually. Trouble on stand 2. Lethko throws the chain. I think he got all 3 on the ground. No opportunity to go back. Unofficial time showing around 5 seconds flat for Lethko. Talk about leaving it all on the stage, including your chain. Here we're watching Lethko in his cut, or his cuts, I should say. Clean, then he gets a little bit heavy with it. Wow, gets really heavy. And then I think that disc bounced down and knocked the chain off the saw. Let's go back and take one more look here at this run from Lethko. When that chain spins freely out of the wood, it wants to be a circle. It does not want to conform to the shape of the bar. And actually, the top of the disc came over and got the top of the chain as it was traveling down the bar. That knocked it off that sprocket nose, and the rest is history.
Just got the official time, 4.947. Tell us what that means to you.
Oh, it means a lot. Jason had the U.S. record in the first pool, and I don't know, that's what I was going for, was try to beat that. I'd run close to that before. I ran 4.96 at a Johnny Appleseed Festival, and you know, knew I could do that in the series if I got a chance, and that was my chance, and I pulled it off.
All right, great job.
We got a couple guys still to go, so you know, Matty Slinger will be pretty close to that, I got a feeling, so we'll see.
We'll sit back and watch. Thanks.
Adam Lethgo with obviously more magic to go around today. He follows up a great 5 disciplines, and in this last one, the hot saw. Well, how about another record set on this day? Adam Lethgo with a 4.947. Josh Wilson still in second place with 6.015. Matthew Bolton, Ben Nicely running out the top 4 with 1 heat remaining.
Final heat of the hot saw on stand number 1, Cassidy Scheer. And let's give it up one more time on stand number 2, Matt Slingerland.
Two more guys who have brought the magic today in this Pool B competition. Absolutely superb day for Matt Slingerland. He's going up in our final heat of the day. Hot saw against last year's champion, our defending champion, Cassidy Scheer.
Warm up your saws. Thirty seconds. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Matt Slingerland, exceptionally fast to the block and exceptionally fast through the wood. He's looking at that unofficial time, shaking his head, but that unofficial time is not anywhere close to where Matt Slingerland finished out this run. Let's go back and take another look. Quick up and in. That saw just instantly touches the top of that block and melts its way through that white pine. A lot of foot movement. He's shuffling around a lot, but really clean, consistent cuts from Matt Slingerland.
Matty, unofficially around a 5.2. I know you were going for the national record. There's only so many things you can control in this sport. One thing you can control is the chain filing. Your dad said, nope, use the wrong chain. What did you think?
Yeah, Melvin Lentz does up most of my chains for me, and he's been doing a spectacular job. In a demo just the other day, I ran about a 5 flat right at the record, and I tried to use that same chain. It might not have liked that wood quite as much, so we'll reassess tomorrow and maybe see what Melvin has to say about it.
That's right, you'll be in the finals. Good news is you won half the events today. Good luck in the finals, Matt. We'll see you there.
Thanks, Dave.
There you go, Adam Lethgo, record-setting time there, 4.947. Matt Slingerland's good time of 5.209 comes in second place, followed by Wilson, Scheer, Bolton, and Nicely. Well, there you see the finalists from Pool B: Ben Nicely, Matthew Bolton, Josh Wilson, Cassidy Scheer, Adam Lethgo, and Matt Slingerland. Well, that is it. That wraps up our Pool B competition for today. Congratulations to the 6 who are moving on to the next stage of competition, the finals of the STIHL Timbersports US Championships.